Hey, what's up, guys? Long time no see. Tim Lloyd, Jeff Hobbs, back with the Zero Hour, and we have Jeff. We've had a little bit of a hiatus here for the last, I guess, going on 2 months here, but that doesn't mean we've been lazy, man. We've been behind the scenes putting some things together. Three fight nights in 3 weeks, starting this weekend with Aries at 19 going down from the Chattanooga Convention Center, downtown Chattanooga. Our second show there. We're excited for the last time there was it was a really fun night. A lot of good fights, a lot of good electricity in the air. Good venue really holds that energy in there. And today is it's breakdown day, man. It's preview day. We appreciate you joining us out there. Before we get going, give us a like here. That hit that thumbs up button and the notification bell. You'll get notified whenever we post new content. We should be caught up on fights at this point. Everything that we've done up till now is here on the YouTube channel, and so you want to make sure you get notifications when we post new content. Hit that subscription bell, hit the like button. Jeff, how's it going, my man? I've got a big 3 weeks ahead of us. Our three markets, all three markets represented over the course of this next 3 weeks after about 9 weeks off.
I don't even know what to think about it, honestly. It's I want to say the realization of it has set in because of the stress and anxiety of what's about to happen, and just the long hours and the long nights that are about to happen over a 3 week period is a little daunting to think about. But it's also exciting because we had a little bit of time off. Like you said, we haven't been on here in a while, but that's because our guy Kyle Mays is helping fill those gaps in between with some awesome interviews and going out and visiting gyms and fighters. So, it's given us, again, a little more of a break to get ready for things like what's about to happen. 3 straight weekends, not even really 3 weeks, 13 day or what is it? Yeah, it's 13 days, really. I think it
Mm-hmm.
is over a span of three events, 13 days. There's four major cities in the state of Tennessee, and we are hitting three of them: Nashville, Knoxville, Chattanooga, all in a row. We're going to start this weekend in Chattanooga. Then we're going to run real quick on a 6 day turnaround to Nashville for the underground, and then head straight up to Knoxville for Aries 20, number 20, double X's, man. Show number 20. Doesn't
Yes.
really tell the story because we've been involved with, so many co-pros and one-offs and undergrounds that aren't numbered and fair fights at the fairgrounds and things like that. But as far as numbered events, kind of monumental. 20 is
Yeah.
a good number. I'd say realistically we may be at about 26, 27. But wow, man, Aries 20 is coming up too. So a lot of cool things happening, my man.
Yeah, you look at it over the next three events, which, as you mentioned, it really happens over a very short period of time. Days wise, we're looking at right about 50 fights, all told, between all three cards. A lot of moving parts, but when it's all said and done, I'm excited for it, and I think that all three of these cards have their own kind of unique feel, their own unique flavor. Today, we're going to give the attention to Aries 19. Before we do, shout out to our presenting sponsor, Smoky Mountain CBD. Check them out at SmokyMountainCBD.com. They will be in the house this Saturday in Chattanooga. They've got those dank swag bags for our VIP tables and our award winners, and always great to have them in the house. They've got your edibles, your gummies, Delta 9, Delta 8, you name it, they got it. It's good stuff. And you always want to support those local businesses where you can. They support us, and we appreciate them. Let's get into it, Jeff. Of course, this show going down, like we said, Saturday night, Chattanooga Convention Center, pay-per-view at Spectation Sports. And we're excited to be on Spectation Sports 3 weeks in a row. So a lot of content there, some good promotions being picked up. I'm hearing about. You guys can look forward to hearing more about that from them. But where we're on the campfire is we got about three or four more promotions joining the Spectation roster. So lots of good
Family.
the family, as it were. That's right, including one up in Canada, which is exciting. So, yeah, let's jump into it, man. I guess we'll do. Well, I'll let you kind of set the table, and I'll try to do my best to
Yeah,
break it down for
absolutely.
you.
You want to hit the prelims one at a time? You want to go kind of throw them as a
Uh,
group and
yeah,
kind of
let's just do the prelims together.
yeah,
We'll knock those out together. It's a little bit more difficult to talk about those individually, but
sure.
then we'll get into the fights after them into more depth.
Absolutely. Let me run through the prelims. So the prelims will start at doors open at 5. Prelims will start at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. First fight we're going to see is a juniors grappling match, 1 10-minute round. You're going to see Rowan Wrestling Academy and the Joker himself, Corey Heinzen, his son Soren, baby
Yeah.
Joker Heinzen, will be taking on Angel Morales from Agogi Combative. So we got juniors grappling. We're going to go from juniors grappling to juniors modified mixed martial arts. So juniors modified MMA. Jay the Ghost Gooden, also from Rowan Wrestling Academy, China Grove, North Carolina. Also going against one of those Agogi kids. We've seen him before, Ryder Wilson. This one, by all accounts, man, sounds like it's going to be a good one. Two kids that go for it, so I'm excited about that one. Next, Tim, we're going to see Ben Luttrell from Lawrenceburg Combat Club, Lawrenceburg, Tennessee. Combat BJJ. The adults are stepping in now with them open palm strikes, slap grappling, if you will. Going against Pedigo Submission Fighting's Josh Maynor. So we've seen Josh before. In the Aries cage and some grappling matches, tag team as well. So it's going to be good to have him back. Then we're going to move to our one and only striking bout, our Muay Thai kickboxing 3 2-minute rounds welterweight fight. Okay, now you're going to have to help me with his name again, Tim.
Let's see. It's Damari.
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 Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Damari Ray. Team Cruise Muay Thai. Rock Cruise up in Louisville, Kentucky. If you've been around for a while, you know the Rock Cruise name up in Kentucky. A gym that is, they are Muay Thai based, Muay Thai focused. He's definitely a Muay Thai focused coach. So a lot of good Thai coming out of that gym. Taking on Militia MMA's undefeated Broderick Kelsey, the Brainerd Babymaker, as he likes to be called. But again, Militia right there in Chattanooga. So that one is going to be fire. Ray versus Kelsey. And then our final prelim fight of the night, we will move into actual physical mixed martial arts. The little gloves come on, 3 3-minute rounds. Christian Lee from Newport, Tennessee. We've seen him quite a bit. He was here for a while, gone for a while. Military service has come back now and wanting to stay active. Christian Lee will take on Austin Sparks, who is representing Agogi Combatives here at this fight. So Lee versus Sparks will end our prelims, but begin the mixed martial arts action.
Yeah, we got a little bit of everything here as we try to do on the prelims, and it's like we kind of progress up the violence scale as we go. So I think these youth bouts will be a lot of fun. They always are. They're really excited to get in there, and the baby Joker, he's going to be coming in into enemy territory. I guess as much enemies as you could have as a 9-year-old, but taking on Angel Morales. We've seen him on some of the Hydra Cups in the past. A good, solid little talented grappler. Ryder Wilson, we saw him at the Gamma Championships. Man, if I'm not mistaken, he won the whole dang thing. He is one of the more aggressive, talented, skilled kids you're going to see at this age. Just only one. There's only one gear on that motor, and it's full steam ahead. But hey, from everything the coaches over at Rowan Wrestling have said, Gooden is the same, is cut from the same cloth. They said he's a mile a minute. All systems go. I told them leading into this thing, I was like, Ryder's good. Just so everybody knows, you're stepping in there with a pretty tough kid. This is no he doesn't compete like your typical 9 10 year olds do. And man, they welcomed the challenge. They said that that's pretty much the same thing that they've got there. And it should be fight of the night. They're calling fight of the night early. So hey man, I'm certainly excited to see this. I think no matter what, we're going to see a lot of fast paced action with those kids. Of course, love having Josh Maynor on the cards. He's one of those guys that whether he's competing or not competing, you pretty much count on seeing Josh Maynor at an Aries show. So always like seeing him get a chance to get in there and compete. He'll be taking on one of the Lawrenceburg Combat Club's guys, Ben Luttrell, who I'm not that familiar with. I know he's one of the coaches there. I'm sure he'll be very skilled and up to the task, taking on a very strong, talented, skilled Josh Maynor, who actually grappled Jeff Jankowski, at the Joe. So there's a little bit of, interwoven storyline here. And then, of course, our final non-MMA bout, as you mentioned, Damari Ray, and he's taking on Broderick Kelsey. And Broderick's been one of these guys, and it's not just this show. Like he, there's some people that are just cursed when it comes to holding matchups together. If you remember, his guy no showed when we did the co-pro with NFC, and it's
Mhm.
just like every time Broderick fights, it's not an easy task to get to get the fight to come to fruition. And I think he went through three opponents on this particular card before we finally got Mr. Ray to step in on short notice. Now he just fought about a week and a half ago. At this point, he was actually 2-0. He lost. I want to say he lost a decision, maybe in Indiana or some such, or last weekend. And I was waiting to hear the result of that to see if we were going to be able to make that fight happen. It's hey, we dropped a tough one. His opponent came in like way overweight. We took it anyway, but no injuries. We're ready to get back in there. So Damari Ray's going to fight 2 times in 2 weeks. Essentially, that's that's exciting. And so and then our final preliminary bout, as you mentioned, we've seen Christian Lee for just about all of his fights. Christian is very a very tough, athletic, strong, quick, unorthodox. I think would probably be your most your best adverb, I guess you would say, to describe his style. But ultimately, it's one of those. He's like if he goes, he darts in, and when he darts out, it can be perceived as if he's maybe as if he's running away, and he kind of is to a degree, but it's not. I don't really think that it should be perceived as timidity so much as that's just it's just an odd
To
way
me,
that
it's
he can
just
teach.
this is the fastest way to get to where I'm going. Get away.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm just going to
And if you
run and
think about it like
reset.
that, it's like, yeah, it
Yeah,
kind of makes sense, I guess, a little bit.
yeah.
But
You're going to
you
run and
know,
reset.
yeah, he isn't running from because he isn't wanting to fight. It is just, and I'm giving you guys a little preface here. And when you see this, the way the style, you'll have a little better understanding of how he fights. So this will be the first time that we have seen Mr. Sparks compete. Fought on other regional shows around the area, and coming in here at 2-1, first fight with a Gogi combative. So. I don't have a whole lot to base his prior performances off of because I haven't really seen him so much. But all the same, if he's got a Gogi behind him, I'm sure that he has got a good full toolbox to go in here and defend the home turf, if you will, against Christian Lee.
Yeah, and if not, I mean, like I said, he hasn't been there long. Uh, the coaches at Agogi are not above just saying, "All right, let's just go ahead out and get out there, so we can see what you have, and let's see
Mm-hmm.
what our starting point is." So it's a good opportunity for Mr. Sparks to to show the coaches and the rest of the new teammates at Agogi what he's all about. Also, on this, while we're talking about these prelims too, and mentioning the Heinsohn name, we got to say this is possibly going to be, and probably, hopefully, knock on wood, fingers crossed, the first time since last year when the news came out about young Roswell's diagnosis that Roswell is supposed to be in the house,
Nice.
is going to be there with us. She rang that bell at the hospital for the final time, and I think this is going to be her first fight outing, and so she will be in the house. So mom, dad, I think grandpa's going to be there, and she's got that pretty yellow, the cancer ribbon colored belt, Aries belt that Kyle was gracious enough to order for and get to her, and I'm sure she'll have that over her shoulder, her strap over her shoulder all night long. So, and she'll be there watching little brother compete, so that's cool too.
Yeah.
So shout out to her, everybody. When you see her, at least go by. I'm sure she's still being careful. Give her a fist bump and make sure you tell her hello when you see her. All right, undercard time. Prelims to undercard. We are MMA the rest of the way.
Yeah.
All right, catchweight bout is going to start this out. It's at 150 pounds because once again, some reason these militia guys just have the bad luck of. I don't even know if they have this luck if they fight somewhere else. It's just fighting at home. It seems like they just have the damnedest time keeping an
Mm-hmm.
opponent for whatever reason. And so we've had Dustin Garrett has stepped in on short notice, so that's why we've got this at 150-pound catch weight. But there is no doubt that both of these guys more than easily make 145 when they have ample time. But Dustin Garrett, DC Combat, is going to be taking on Landon Reed from Militia MMA. Tim.
Yeah, like you mentioned, some people just it's tough to get their fights to stick. Landon Reed has been no different. I've gone through 4 or 5 opponents on this particular card for Landon Reed, and yeah, it's an interesting one. Landon is 0-1. He lost his debut at the last Chattanooga event to Noah Basinger, who we'll talk about here shortly. A decorated wrestler, state champion wrestler out of Georgia, wrestled at the University of Tennessee Chattanooga. So he's got the credentials and the wrestling chops. Got his takedown there in his debut there, but ultimately fell prey to a triangle, if I'm not mistaken, a triangle or armbar one. He was submitted though by the long limbs of Noah Basinger, and this kind of goes to show, man, like you know, wrestling's a great base, still in my opinion, probably the best base to come in with. But just because someone has whether it be a collegiate wrestling background or a BJJ high level ranking, it doesn't necessarily mean that they can put it all together in MMA just yet. And that's not a knock on Landon Reed. I have no doubt that he'll be a really solid fighter. More than anything, it's just like people hear about the certain credentials on certain people, and they start to shy away from them just based on those. So you can imagine when I'm pitching an 0-1 Division 1 college level wrestler at people, it's not somebody that they're exactly lining up to fight. But we did have several guys sign up for that fight and then drop out for various reasons, some bullshit, some legit. And Dustin Garrett, man, props to him for stepping up short notice. Props to Landon for taking a fight against Dustin Garrett on short notice. Dustin Garrett's 4-6, and that's 10 fights, a lot of experience, and he's fought some of the very very tough guys around here. Now he's coming off of an injury himself, though. Dustin's been on the shelf for a good while after a surgery, and we were talking about doing a pro debut for him, and he wasn't able to get cleared in time from that surgery. So, talking to his coach, we thought maybe it wouldn't be a terrible idea to go ahead and take another amateur fight here before he jumps into the pro ranks. Test out that surgically repaired limb, as it were. I'll just leave it at that, and then go from there. So props to both these guys. Dustin Garrett, blue belt, DC Combat. Not a particularly big guy at 145, but very good scrambles. He's one of these. He's going to create scrambles. If you've got a position on him, he's not going to settle and just take the bad position. He's going to create a scramble. It maybe end up to the good. It maybe end up to the bad. But he's going to create scrambles, and that is going to be a very good indicator, I think, of how Landon Reed, how can he handle this fast, scrappy grappling exchanges with a guy that has got quite a bit more experience than him. So yeah, props to both guys. It's not an easy to be leading off like the undercard here with a fight like this. I think says volumes about the depth of this card.
Yeah. Always got to make sure too. I hate it when sometimes we get caught up in the props to the guy who took it on short notice when there was another guy that, yes, he was ready to fight, but it's still short notice for him as well, changing the opponent and having to
Mm-hmm.
decide, like you said, at one time, scheduled against a debut, at another time, someone with a similar record.
Mm-hmm.
Props to Landon Reed for accepting a short notice against someone who has 10 amateur fights.
Absolutely.
Those props go both ways. All right. You talked about them in this preview of Garrett and Reed, but our next bout is in the bantamweight division, and that would be the aforementioned Slim Reaper, Noah Basinger from Rowan Wrestling Academy, 1-1 record now, and he will be welcoming and hosting a returning Coup Two. From Nashville MMA, Kutu is somebody we've seen before. 2-1 record out of Nashville. Exciting fighter. Loves the jumps, the kicks, the spinny shit. He's all over the place, but he is going to have to deal with, a factor you talked about earlier, and that is the long legs, long arm, just the body of Noah Basinger in this fight. So this one is going to be interesting. Koo has been out for a long time. He's had some surgeries. He's had some things that he's had to get worked on, fixed on, and made sure that they were good to go. But over the past 2 months, him and his coaches have been hounding us that he is ready, ready, ready. So this one is going to be really good because these Rowan guys here lately, especially in Chattanooga, the last time they were here, they upset the apple cart a lot.
Yeah, they came out of the gates firing last Chattanooga show, pulling, if I can recall, two
Upset after upset.
upsets just like back to back.
Yeah.
It was they came out firing, upset the apple cart on a few different occasions. So they're coming in with some steam, and as such, they're finding themselves in some of the bigger fights here all of a sudden. So this is a very interesting style clash. Like you said, at 135 pounds, you're not going to find a whole lot of guys too much taller and longer than Noah Basinger. Young though, 21 years old, in a IA level wrestling collegiately, and his first time out. It was one of those fights where he kind of got clipped quick, and it was like he was fighting a guy from Scorpion who was a very very solid fighter. He has ended up winning several more since then. So we got to see a little bit more what he could do last time out with that big win over Landon Reed, and got his even record or even his record up to 101. Of course, Kutu giving up probably about 7 inches of height here. It'll be a very noticeable height difference.
Stark difference.
Right. However, there'll also be a very noticeable difference in like the girth of these guys. The Ku is not tall by any means, but he is very thick and muscular, especially the
His
base. Uh,
thighs and legs. Yeah.
his base is just very, very solid, and maybe he doesn't quite have the wrestling chops of Noah Basinger, but I can't imagine taking a guy like Kutu down is going to be too fun for anyone. Just with that low center of gravity, he's very explosive, unorthodox strikes. This is a tale that this is. You can't get much more of a style contrast between these two guys, both the way they're built and the way they fight. Ku also, like you mentioned, coming in off a pretty lengthy absence from an injury, so that's another thing that I'll be just interested to see. Is there any sort of cage rust, or is he just leveled up in that time? Definitely, he's a guy that with a win here. For either guy would be big, but a win here for Ku, he would move to 4-1 at that point, and certainly be in conversations for some big fights.
Yeah, absolutely. And with Basinger recently pulling off an upset, if we think back though, even Ku has kind of decimated opponents, but in his one loss, um, he got caught. And I
Yeah,
would say, even though his opponent it was a good opponent, it was
Delgadillo.
Delgadillo. Yes, it was a great opponent, good opponent. Ku was handling that fight, until the very second he wasn't, and he got caught and he got submitted. So you've got one fighter who is, on the heels of upsetting the apple cart and pulling out a sub, and you've got another fighter who has fallen victim before to kind of just slipping up and getting caught
Hmm.
in something. So. Man, what a toss-up fight this is! It's just going to be fun to watch because you have no clue which way that one's going to go.
I don't think
Uh,
there'll be a whole lot of downtime in that one. I think no,
no,
it's going to be a fight where both guys are kind of going for it. I think the entire time there won't be a lot of stalling.
yeah, no, not at all. And thank goodness the ceilings are high because I think at the underground, I was afraid at one point that Ku, with his jump up spinny, I thought he was going to hit the ceiling
Yeah.
at the underground once. So, all right, man. Next up, this one is interesting, folks. We've got a catchweight bout, 190 pounds. Um, you have seen him before, Austin Higdon, an Agogian Combatives guy. He was at the last Chattanooga show. What a crowd Austin had. The preach, as they like to call him, is returning. He loved, the last Chattanooga show was kind of his uh, coming back kind of fight. He had been out for a while, and boy, did the bug catch him after that exciting win. But he is going to be welcoming into his hometown from Team Chaos. He's usually the guy that's in the corner with guys like Corey Delaney and Josh Delgadillo, but Frank Leslie is. We thought he was calling us to put one of his guys on the card, and he's like, "Hell no, I'm coming to fight. What are you talking about?" And so we're going to see Coach Frank Leslie, who actually has a 2-2 record, the exact same record as Austin Higdon. Come on into Chattanooga. He's got his table purchased, and he's ready to rock and roll and take on Austin Higdon.
This is one that this is another one that I think will be all action. I I don't expect just the most technical battle between these guys. I said the same thing about Austin Higdon the last time though, and I ended up submitting the guy.
Yep.
So he does certainly have some technique. I think deep down though, Austin Higdon's looking to brawl, man. He's looking to throw them things, and he's looking to put on a show. I think Frank Leslie will be much the same. Obviously we haven't gotten to see Frank fight yet. The last time he fought, we were just getting started in this business essentially.
I
That
think
was
Tito Ortiz was champion.
yeah, I mean it's been a while, and so obviously the game's changed a lot in that time, but he's still been around and part of the game, coaching guys like you mentioned, Delgadillo and Corey Delaney, and oddly enough, I saw on the list that those are his corners, for this
Nice.
fight. So it's kind of like a full circle kind of deal, right? And
Nice.
if Frank, has certainly been around the game a long time, and he sent me some videos of him training and whatnot. He's gotten in very good shape, man. He looks good. He looks real good. I think he's going to come in great shape at 51 years old. Frank is still not quite. I don't think hits the high mark for us with Dan Garrett, who will be in the house there with his son Dustin, I'm sure. But he's certainly probably a good second place in that regard. And between these guys, both gentlemen, very very great to work with. Never any problems from them, and so it's one of those fights where you hate to see either one of them really lose. But I do feel like whoever does lose, will get finished either way. I don't think we're going 3 rounds here. I think we're going to see a finish either way. The last time the Higdon fought, he fought a very big, improved in size and stature, Robbie Burns, and you and I just looking at him, we're like, oh man, like Robbie's gotten like really big, and Austin's like lost weight, which is great, but he's not as big as this guy. Hopefully he can hang in there with him, and he did more than that. He went out there and got the finish. So excited for this one. This is the midway part of the card, and I mean, we're starting to get the juices flowing at this point, and we're not going anywhere but up from here.
Yeah. And it happens every time. Like I said, we give the Dan Garrett's of the world, we give them their time in the cage. So we know, guys, if you're watching, we're going to hear it. And when we post it up on YouTube, you're going to put your little comments underneath it and your what the hell's that? Listen, who are we to tell these guys who are in the gym every day and love this sport and can still compete and pass the physicals, pass all the medical requirements, that they can't get in there and do what they want to do? Uh, Believe me, if they couldn't do it, we wouldn't put them in there. So you know,
Dan Garrett typically is not the
yeah,
guy that's in the worst shape on a card.
no, he's ripped usually, and while Frank isn't going to be ripped by any means, and he'll tell you that himself. Um, Again, who are we to tell this guy he can't come in and compete? And I guarantee you, he's going to put on a hell of a show. And then, unfortunately, a lot of cases, way more than the kids younger than him that decide to step in. He's going to do it. So save your comments, but if you still decide to post them, fuck you. Um, Anyway, moving on. Lightweight division. Here's where the juices started going. When the undercard started. But now you want to get into not just cheering for your favorite fighter, but some actual heat going.
Yeah.
This is about where it starts, guys. Lightweight fight. You've got Austin Saul's Rowan Wrestling Academy, China Grove, North Carolina, taking on Logan Metters from Lawrenceburg Combat Club. 1-2 Austin Saws, but I'm telling you, those have been three fights that he's you know, live by the sword, die by the sword. I'm either carrying the shield out or I'm laying on it going out. Either one. He is 100% game for whatever happens and is going to lay it all out there. And Logan Metters, who this all started, guys, from a fight that was going to be on this card, which was going to be Anson Phillips and Jeff Jankowski. Again, Rowan versus Lawrenceburg, and then Austin Saws and Metters got involved in kind of the back and forth and said, "Well, we're down too. Let's just make this a family affair, and we'll all do it." The other fight, fell off for reasons, but Metters and Saws are still on here defending all the trash talk that went on after the last Chattanooga show, Tim. So this is where the heat starts.
Yeah, man. A lot of the time guys are kind of talking about a fight, and maybe they may talk a little bit more just to get to try to generate some heat. And I think these teams they do not like each other. There is no. I don't think there's any good natured banter back and forth. These teams don't like each other, man. And I get the pleasure of getting to kind of hear the behind the scenes messages that aren't necessarily always public. Yeah, these teams don't like each other, man. They want to
Mhm.
fight each other. It makes my job a lot easier, obviously, putting these guys together when you've got guys that just want to fight each other, and it's still a well matched fight, and you can like, okay, cool. In this case, Jankowski and Anson were kind of the jumping off point, and there was some health issues with Jankowski. Good vibes to him. Hopefully, we get him back, in the fall and the winter. But ultimately, this fight was kind of added on just to kind of bolster that rivalry. And from a record standpoint, they're both young. They're the same age. I think 22 years old each. And these guys are going to bring it. I think that Logan Metters has got one more fight than Austin, but Austin's been fighting like a lot like lately. Like he's gotten all three of his fights in less than a year. So he's like constantly fighting now and training. Moved out to Rowan Wrestling after losing his debut to Anson Phillips, who we just talked about. He's going to be fighting for the 170 title. Follows that up with a record-setting knockout that I believe still stands for the moment. No, 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 no. It got knocked out the very next week. That's right.
Yeah.
For a moment, for a week or two, held the fastest knockout record for us. And then last time out, of course, ran into Dustin Berry, and that was a whirlwind of a fight, man. Dustin Berry elevates on to that 155 championship title fight. We'll talk about a little bit later, but that was a like Austin Sauls is going to, like you said, he's going to bring it. He's going to bring it hard. And you're either going to withstand it or you're not. Logan Metter's another aggressive guy. He's tall, long, rangy, solid striking. Has fought tough guys. Has fought Lucas Cox. He's been in there with some pretty tough dudes. So the fact that we'll have the heat between these two, the fact that the fans for both of these guys are going to be intense, it is going to have I'll have to probably keep an eye out on things out there because both these fan bases are going to be fired up to represent their team, and I think this rivalry is just starting. I think there's going to be lots more to come, regardless of how this goes.
Yeah, and it's one of the things. Like I said, we enjoy it. It makes things a little more interesting, but I love it too when you really can't even. If you ask them all, they'll give you some instances, but it's like you can't really even pinpoint how it started or why you don't like each other.
I'll tell you what.
It,
I think what starts a lot of these is you might have a team that's coming off of maybe an L at the same time. Maybe they're sharing a locker room with another team, and the way that maybe that team celebrates just rubs you
yeah,
the
and that's
wrong
what
way. You
yeah,
know.
that's what I was going to say. It's not anything you can pinpoint. Sometimes it's just I just don't like the way you handle yourself, or I just don't like the way you do business,
Mhm.
or I don't like the way you celebrated that, and so sometimes it can be for what they feel is serious things, but hell, sometimes it's not for serious things. But nonetheless, it doesn't matter what started it; it makes it fun for the rest of us.
Mhm.
And after a while, it doesn't even matter what started it; it's just gotten so deep. So we hopefully this continues, and we get to see some more of this happening. And knowing both of these teams, they're not necessarily going to go out of their way to let it die down. Like they're not going to back down from it. They're
No.
you want to keep chirping, I'll keep chirping. We'll get this thing going if you want. So this is where it's going to get fun, folks. And regardless of how far we are away from North Carolina, as the Rowan guys' success has grown, so has their ticket sales and their followings. Before they would come this far down into Chattanooga, and it wouldn't be as big a turnout as it would be in Knoxville, but they are starting to migrate on down to Chattanooga and follow them. So we know the Lawrenceburg crew's coming. Jankowski's off the fight, but all his people kept their tables,
Mhm. They'll still be in the house.
yeah, are still going to be in the house, to cheer on Logan Metter. So going to be a good one, folks. Next one, it is the last bout on our undercard before we hit that main card, which is 4 title fights. So your last fight before the intermission, before those title fights, another one excited about. And you're going to hear that one's a debut and one's 0-1. I don't give a shit. I'm really excited about it, and a lot of people are. A catch weight bout at 130 pounds, female mixed martial arts action. You have got the big cat, Kate Sandmeyer from Rowan Wrestling Academy. Rowan is fighting everybody. You see the silly shirts, so and so versus everyone.
No,
Well, you know what? Saturday night, it literally is Rowan versus everyone because they're fighting everybody. They're fighting
yeah.
the Gogi. They're fighting the Lawrenceburg Combat Club. They're fighting Nashville MMA.
hmm
But it's going to be the big cat, Kate Sandmeyer, with a stock car background, if you will,
Yeah.
taking on Melissa Buckner, who at 0-1 is one of the toughest chicks that I think I've ever seen because she'll take them. She'll take them on short notice. She'll take a grappling. She'll take a combat jujitsu and palm slap somebody. But Melissa Buckner from Agogi Combatives and Kate Sandmeyer.
Man, yeah, this is going to be fun. You know, again, the records be damned here. I know this is going to deliver a great fight. Like you mentioned, Sandmeyer has that kind of that racing background that she comes from. As seems to have a pretty nice fan base making the trip out here to
Yeah.
see her. Her teammates speak very very highly of her. Says she's an animal. Says she's she's beast. So we've seen Melissa before. Obviously, both grappling and in MMA, so she does have a bit more like in cage experience, as well as just overall training experience. Already a purple belt in BJJ is Melissa, so she's going to come well trained and ready. And sometimes the guys, the grapplers that are doing their first fights, you don't really know like how it's going to go once they get in there and start fighting and punching. And we're recalling back to Melissa's debut against Ashley Eigner. She bit down on her mouth guard and went to town, man. Like they had the fans really really raging at the Joe. So like she's willing to get in there and throw down too. And if things go to the ground, she's obviously probably going to be more than ready for that as well. So I'm excited for this. Melissa, a few more years on her than Miss Sandmeyer, so that may be something that's a little more intangible. Yeah, we'll see if having a little bit more youth will help Sandmeyer, and obviously just watching her teammates get ready and go to battle and being on that streak that they're on that they're trending upwards. That high water raises all the boats, so that's kind of one of those things where I think we're going to continue to see the Rowan crew just as they get into bigger and bigger fights, more and more high profile fights. You're going to see them leveling up. They're going to have to, but when you get into the tougher competition, they're going to have to, and I think they will. Yeah, this is this is our last non-title fight from here, man. It's all strap season.
Yeah. And again, we got two things on this fight that better scare everybody else, and that's kids and females, because both of those will steal the show if you don't if you don't watch it. If you
Mm-hmm.
don't come correct, those two factors right there will always sneak up on you and steal the damn show. Uh, and this one, I'm really excited about this one, just because again we know Melissa Buckner, and we know how tough she is. I mean, even Eichner after that fight was like, Jesus Christ, y'all, like damn, like, like that was my debut.
Right.
Like,
And I nerd college wrestler.
yes, Eichner, college wrestler. So again, with Rowan Crew, you got to imagine Sam Meyer is getting that wrestling base with Anson. Uh, she's going to have to be careful on the ground, but that wrestling philosophy is I just close distance, I smother. If I don't give you any space, you can't pull anything off. So it's going to be interesting to see who wins that battle. But so yeah, now it is time. Our last four bouts of the evening, all title fights, three Aries fight series titles, and this next one, which is our first hosting of a Gamma amateur title. Gamma has stepped out there and started recognizing amateur titles in their respective states. And Gamma Rep Chandler Goins has brought a couple of titles into the Tennessee scene here lately, and I heard one was a couple weeks ago on another promotion, and this one's our turn for a Gamma title. Light heavyweight, 205 pounds. So the big boys are going after some Gamma leather. And this one continues what seems to be kind of a long running back and forth, not back and forth, but just a string of Nashville MMA versus Agogi fights that we have seen a lot of over the last year or so. It's going to be 3-0 Finn Martin, Big Finn Martin from Nashville MMA, taking on Luke Wilson, 2-0 from Agogi Combatives right there in Chattanooga. Luke Wilson, you'll see a lot of the times in our cage, but he is a fighter as well. He trains along with his teammates, and when he's ready to fight, he lays down the stripes and gets in the cage. And what makes this one kind of exciting, guys, that the Luke and Finn both fought on the last Aries card in Chattanooga back in April, and both won. Both had successful outings, and it was Luke Wilson that came to us and said, "Guys, I'm only going to fight one more time. I never got into this to make a career out of it. I'm fighting one more time, and I want that last fight of my amateur career, hell, that last fight of my just career in this, to be against Finn Martin." So a call out, but not your typical call out. Not I want that MFer. It was just I want it to be him because I know the guy's good. I know he's got a lot of upside, and hell, I just want to see what I really got. And so this one's going to be exciting, Tim.
Yeah, man. I got to say that it's one of the more refreshing outlooks that we could get coming from Luke Wilson, especially in light of putting some of these cards together here lately. But I can do nothing but give props, to both these guys. Quick stat session right here. Of these last 8 guys, we have a combined record of 22-3. 22 wins against 3 losses amongst our last 8 competitors in these title fights. Another 6 out of 8, 75% of them are putting their O on the line. That's impressive, man. Props to all these guys. Everybody you're going to see in this last run, they're taking a tough fight. They're taking a challenge. They're taking a risk, as it were. And I love it, man. Luke, guy that, as you mentioned, is, he's had a I guess you would just say a kind of a brief like honeymoon with MMA fighting career. Obviously, refing is what we know him most for. Really has done both of his fights, even counting this fight as his third fight, all in a very short period of time. He's taken advantage of coming out of fights with no damage and turning back around into working on another one. He's gotten his opponents out of there pretty quickly. It'll be interesting to see what the endurance and durability of Luke is like if he is not able to get Finn Martin out of there as easily and quickly as he's gotten his first 2 opponents out of there. Both these guys solid grapplers. Finn a purple belt, Luke a blue belt, both under great grappling gyms and coaches. Finn has also been pretty. I would say it's safe to say also pretty active here over the last year. He's managed to get most of his fights kind of tucked into this last year or so, and coming off a win over Josh Mackey, that was a fight that we thought showed a lot. That showed the kind of that Finn is for real. His first 2 fights, very impressive, quick, dominating finishes, but kind of hard to just tell still coming off of those. What we had on our hands still because we just didn't get to see that much resistance, as it were. This last time out with a win over Josh Mackey, I think answered a lot of those questions. And both these guys putting their O on the line. First Gamma Tennessee light heavyweight title goes to the winner, and yeah, great way to kick off this main card. I'm excited for it. I think that whoever wins this first Gamma title is going to be a well deserving champion, and whoever comes up on the short end will know that they went out there and they put it on the line against a worthy adversary.
Yeah, absolutely. It's again, there's definitely a sense of rivalry there because you got the two biggest gyms in the state who want to showcase their fighters, but where this is definitely not a Rowan. This fight is not a Rowan versus Lawrenceburg situation. This is actually more of a nod, a game recognizing game type thing where Luke has said. Hey, big boy, I know you're good. I've seen you. And I know you're strong, and I know you've got some talent. Um, I just want to see it firsthand, and let's see where I stand. So you got to respect how this one, came down. And in Finn's, while yes, he loves winning in his celebrations, I mean, he's not one of those kind of in your face type of guys either, who's rubbing in wins either. So a lot of respect, I'm going to guess, before this one starts and after. What a hell of a way to stop off a championship run here. Next up, we've talked about it. But there's a little difference now. We talked about it before because Jeff Jankowski was involved, but he is not any longer. But Anson Phillips, regardless of an opponent change, he wanted to still be a part of this kind of vacant inaugural, if you will, welterweight amateur title, and said, "I'm still in." He had the option of going down to 55 and exploring options there, but he said, "Nope, let's do it. I still want the welterweight title. Find me an opponent." So Anson Phillips at 3-0 from Rowan Wrestling Academy taking on Agogi's also 3-0. So again, 3-0 Finn Martin, 2-0 Luke Wilson, 3-0 Anson Phillips, 3-0 Lucas Cox. Two more guys who don't mind putting that undefeated streak, undefeated record on the line, not dodging a tough fight. Anson Phillips, Lucas Cox.
Yeah,
Aries
man.
amateur welterweight title.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. A 170 title. It has it has been a moment. I feel like since we've had a champion there at 170, and so this is going to be I think a clash of styles. Obviously, the Rowan Wrestling rep Anson Phillips, decorated wrestler in North Carolina, state champion, as well as an all-state. I guess award winner as well in North Carolina, as you're going to expect it from these Rowan guys. Another guy that's kind of sounding like a broken record here, but he's got all three of his fights in a very short window. He's had all three fights ran off here, man, probably in the last 9 months, realistically. The win over Anson, I'm sorry, after over Austin Sauls for one, and then of course the last time out beat a guy from Wolves Den, and he's gotten short work out of everyone. Anson hasn't really had to dig deeply into the reserves just yet. I don't think that he's had as much. Guys haven't had very much success in avoiding his wrestling, his submission acumen. So I think that he's coming in headstrong. He's going to be confident. First title opportunity here. Lucas Cox, a guy that has been out for a minute now. Went over across the pond there and played around with big boy toys for a while, and now he's made it back home safely and is looking to jump back into the mix. Lucas Cox is. You know, he had fought a bit of his fights in a condensed time, and he'd gotten some momentum up. Then he went away for several months, and now that he's back, I'm very interested to see if there's any cage rust or if he's just picked right up where he left off. He's one of these guys, with military background that is got that extra level of just grit and toughness. Not to take anything away from Anson's grit and toughness, Luca is going to be very difficult to put away. I think that the big question here, I think, is if Anson is not able to get Lucas, retreating or have good positions or a lot of success early, how does Anson react to that when we get into the second and third rounds where we've seen Lucas Cox grit it out? We've seen Lucas win a decision, at one of the underground shows. So he has been all three rounds in tough situations. That to me is like kind of the main question. Now, if Anson can keep that same pace and that same chutzpah about him for 3 rounds, or I'm sorry, 5 rounds. This is a title fight, 5 rounds. Woo-wee. Then we've probably got a fight of the night on our hands if that's the case.
Yeah. Lucas Cox was one of those, in my opinion, who really, well, hell, I didn't even get a chance to change that there. Who, in my opinion, is one of those that picked such a grueling, tough debut when he took on was it JT Van
Yeah,
Meter. Yes,
yeah.
that
Big stage, big
yeah.
show, big crowd, and they went all 3 rounds.
Yes, absolutely. And they were both exhausted, let it all hang out. And that was one of those type of debuts where you go, that's going to pay dividends later.
Mhm. We're
Starting off
talking
the
about it
rip.
today. Yeah.
Yeah, for right. And here we are still talking about it today. And, like you said, Lucas Cox has been, off the scene, out of the country for a while, but he's been back running things over at the Agogi Armory. And, hell, it was crazy. He had mentioned after he got back into the country, hey, I'm wanting to do this again. But there was never really any solid plans. And then it was just like that, a title fight opening, and you just happened, and next thing you know, yeah, I'll take that. I'll do
It
it.
wasn't 24 hours and we had
Like,
another
I'll do it.
another guy in there. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do it. No, well, let me get one in. Let me knock the rust off. Like, yeah, fuck it, I'll do it. So wow, and that was one of those. I remember you sent it, and you're like, what do you? Almost like maybe you thought I would have a different take on it or something. It's like,
Mm.
well, what do you think about this? I'm like, that's the alternative. Like, yes, like this is a good thing. Like,
Yeah.
God, I thought you were going to bring me a name. Like, oh man, I like the guy or he's good, but I just don't think it's title worthy, or I don't think. And it was like, holy shit, yeah, yeah, absolutely. So this one is just interesting from a lot of different standpoints, and knowing what Anson Phillips was preparing for, and still understanding. Again, he is called the captain for a reason. He's kind of the heart and soul of that Rowan team. He's undefeated at 3-0. We know he's got some wrestling chops from his background. And we just know how freaking tough Lucas Cox is. I mean, the things that he's done in his life, fear, as Joe Rogan would say, fear is not a factor
Right.
for Lucas Cox. So it's that mindset. I mean, it's this one is going to be so freaking interesting. Um, it's going to have, as long as it's been since Lucas has been, it's going to have the Agogi contingency in the stands or in the seats and backstage. It's going to have them all at the curtain riled up, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that the energy at this point, and yeah, remember, obviously a lot of go guys on a card in Chattanooga. That goes without saying, up and down the card. So momentum's a big thing. I think that as crazy as it is to say, I think the outcomes of lots of the earlier fights can have a at least some bearing on the overall mojo of a team moving forward. If you pick up momentum, then that momentum sometimes will carry. The Rowan group last time was a good example of that, I think. And then by the same token, maybe you take a couple upsets early in the night and things aren't kind of going to speed, and everybody's kind of starting to lose their lose their mojo, and then things maybe start to turn out a little differently. So I think this is one of those cards where Agogi's got so many guys on this card that those early fights could certainly be a little more important than what they get credit for.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So now your co-main event of the evening, Phillips and Cox was your feature bout, uh, and again, amply named feature bout because it is a feature fight. But now this is your co-main event of the evening. It is for the vacant Aries lightweight title. Both of these fights, all four of these last fights, 5 3-minute rounds, should they need it. But this is going to be Asheboro Martial Arts. Isaiah Martin is coming into enemy territory about to take on Dustin Berry, who has just recently popped back up on the scene. Uh, Again, another one of those that was here for a minute, gone for a while, but has come back and popped his head back in and said, "Hey guys, I'm back. I'm still here, and not just I'm back, but I'm back. I want to fight." Steps in the cage. No sooner than he's in the back changing his clothes. I want to fight again, guys. I want to fight again. Where's my belt? Where's my title? Give me whoever I've got to fight to get in a title fight. And at 3-0, he is on a little roll here, man. He looked phenomenal in his last outing up in Knoxville, Tennessee, at the Cotton Eye Joe, and he has been on it. He, like I said, he moved back into town, and his first fight was just kind of getting his feet back wet again, and hadn't really got his normal crowd of followers in, and that kind of bothered him. not because they let him down. It just bothered him because he's like, I'm getting back into fighting in this area. And I know I've got way more support than this. It's just, it's getting back new to everybody else that's nearby that I'm doing this in the area again. He said, book me again. Let me show you I can sell tickets. And he wasn't fucking lying. They have come out. He is selling the hell out of some tickets. He's got his following is back in the groove with him, and that was a big thing that he wanted. He wanted to show his worth, and he wanted to show that not only was he good in the cage, but he brings more to a promotion as well. And that is butts in seats and tickets and a following, and he's done that. This is going to be a good fight, man. Zay Martin, very skilled. Don't let the 2-2 record fool you again. We say it before, and it sounds cliche, but it is true for some people, folks. It is true, and he's one of them. Very skilled guy, rangy, long. He can weather a storm, and he knows one's going to come with Dustin Berry as soon as the bell rings. But he's good at weathering those flurries and weathering those storms and staying calm and letting the fight calm down a little, and then getting his shit off. So this is again, all four of these fights are interesting as an understatement, but absolutely just intrigue in them. Interesting because you can, if you paid me, I can argue both ways. If you tell me I've got to argue for Dustin Berry, I can do it. If you tell me I got to argue for Zay Martin, I can do it, as well as the other ones we've already talked about. So that's what makes them interesting because you put me in a debate. I know, Tim, you could do the same. I can tell you exactly why each guy wins.
Yeah, Zay is, actually also briefly held the the knockout record for us. One of our first few shows, Zay had a big first round knockout in seconds, and showed his power there. But he's very the thing that really stands out to me is, I mean, he's very long and rangy. He's 6'2", 155er. You're not going to see a whole lot of guys as tall as Zay Martin at at 155. So his body type is certainly something that is difficult to prepare for, I would imagine. He has got a wrestling background as well, state champion wrestler out of North Carolina. Dustin Berry, also a decorated wrestler. And Dustin Berry, man, we saw a different level of aggression this last time than we'd seen before, though. The fight before that, we saw him on the same amp. It was an amp show. No, it was an underground show, maybe. Same show that Lucas fought JT Van Meter. He fought Spencer Brandon, and
Mhm.
they also had like a 3-round war. But I thought that I thought that, thinking back from that fight, it was very exciting. Another just bloody, just back and forth, war. And then he showed a lot of grit, tenacity in that one. But then this last one, man, he came out at Austin Saul's like, man, like I have not seen that level of aggression from him, and just that killer instinct. Very heavy, vicious ground and pound. Yeah, this is a guy that I talked to him after that show. He's looking to win this title. He's looking to go pro pretty soon, and he's a guy that I think you keep an eye on because he's kind of got some of those intangibles. I think that he could make some waves if he can get some stability going in his. Be it his living arrangements or his training situation. He's a guy that one would think one if you think about, had he not had that break where he wasn't competing, he was still training in Memphis, out there. So that would explain why he has leveled up some. But had he stuck around and continued to compete, then this is a guy that would likely already be at 5, 6, 7 fights probably.
Yeah, I think the word that comes to mind to me is like just everything since he's come back has been with a purpose. He
Mm.
fought with a purpose, and that was to show you guys I'm ready. He sold tickets with a purpose, to show everyone, I can do the other things too that a fighter needs to do. So everything has just seemed to be, with such a purpose with Dustin since he's popped back on the scene, and so. Man, I'm excited to watch the story continue, watch it unfold, and see which way this thing goes. It's going to be exciting, that's for sure. But that brings us to our final bout of the evening. We are right at about an hour on the show. It looks like, yeah,
Yeah,
look at that 0 hour.
I
Come
mean, right
on,
at
we're
it. You
right at
gotta
it.
like
Yeah,
that. You gotta like it.
yeah, gotta love it. Man, Every other title we've talked about has been vacant or new, but not this one, folks. This is a title defense, which, you know what, in this game in the regional scene is an anomaly, because, guys come and go, guys move on, guys go pro
Mm,
early, or they wait for their title fight to see if they're ready for pro. And we don't get a lot of title defenses, but we kind of, hit some of that good luck when Andrew Stewart, at such a young record in his career, stepped up and took on Josh Booker the last time out in Chattanooga. So we had a champion at 2-0 who became 3-0. Uh, and knows he's going to stick around just a tad bit longer as an amateur, defending his title. So Andrew Stewart, champion, middleweight division, comes back to the arena, comes back to the convention center, back to the city that he wanted in, against a man that fights for the same team, the same gym as the guy he won it from. This time, though, it is the Sandman himself, Zane Burton, at 5-1. Excellent amateur record. Only fallen, in defeat one time in his career. Agogi Combatives, Nashville MMA. Once again, here we are. The quiet and confident Zane versus, he's kind of brash. I would say confident, and sometimes cocky, Andrew Stewart.
man, I'm gonna give you a hot take here. Though the 185 title for Aries is in my opinion the most prestigious title we've got as far as just a lineage, if you will, a legacy. If every champion that we've had at that 185 has defended, they've defended that title successfully. In Josh Booker's case, he lost it on the second defense, but he did defend that title as well. So the Andrew Stewart's coming back defending that belt against a former champion at 205 of ours and Zane Burton's. That to me makes that 185 title like that's like the crown jewel of our champions as far as just you know a history of people being willing to put that bad boy up, man. And so that's my props to that title right there. But at 185, if you think about it, a couple years back was not as plentiful as far as the talent in the division goes. I feel like over the last year or two, it's really, really become one of the better divisions, one of my favorite divisions, that's for sure. And two very exciting fighters, one out of here. Zane Burton, as I just mentioned, former 205 champ. He has made his return since his first loss, and looked good. And has really, we talked a little bit about it before his last fight. That he loved that loss. Apparently, he's like, thank you guys that showed me what I got to do. I've got to take this. If I'm going to do this, at the next level, I now know what I've got to invest in it because I'm not going to be able to just steamroll everyone. Eventually, I'm going to meet some resistance, and as such, drop down to 185, which itself is a bit of a testament to that work because in the past we talked to him about dropping down to 185. He seemed hesitant. To do it in the past, but really once he started putting in the time and the work that he realized he needed to put in, it was no problem at all in doing the 185. So excited to see this one here as he challenges the current champ in Andrew Stewart, coming off a big win, just a major win over Josh Booker, a guy that had been undefeated himself up until that point, fought some very tough guys, beaten several tough guys, and just really kind of a coming out party, I think, for Andrew Stewart with that big finish there. And we kind of got the face off was organic in the cage. Like I
We
don't
had
even know
nothing to
that.
do with that.
Oh, I
We
was about
had
to say, it's like I don't even know if at that point we'd even like committed to like
no.
doing that title fight. So I was like, oh, cool,
We had
that's.
nothing to do with that. I didn't even know it happened until I watched the replay,
And then
and
they still
I
were
had
able to
no
use it
clue.
for promo, which is always nice. But that's the best when you get promo like that because it isn't. It's not like we're like, hey man, we're gonna run your ass in there, after this, and y'all are gonna face off for this title, and we try to manufacture, some
Yeah.
shit. Yeah,
not an
that was
invitation.
natural shit. That's good, man. It's like I like that. So Zane excited to get in there and face another tough challenge and a guy that knocked off his teammate. Andrew, I'm sure excited to knock off up until this point, probably one of the areas, more decorated, highly ranked prospects in that little range of 185, 205, and Zane Burton in Zane's hometown. That's all. That's another factor I think here is Andrew's brought a lot of people from Nashville for this show. Zane's going to have a lot of people from Chattanooga there at this show, and it's all going to build up to this main event all night. Especially with some of the matchups that you're going to see these guys teammates in earlier in the lead up, I think that we should hit that frenzy pace right about when we want to, when that main event time comes. To me, this fight, I think if you look at your kind of like one hitter quitter power, it's already been proven that Andrew Stewart has got that in spades. I think the grappling is very much going to be the telltale of this. Zane has if Zayn is able to work his takedowns and work his control, work his submission ability, he may have an edge there. If he's not able to get takedowns, Zayn's still a competent striker, but hasn't necessarily shown just that lights out power just yet that Andrew Stewart has showed. And when you've got power like that, you can end the fight at any time. You're live for 5 rounds at any moment to hit one of those well timed shots and put the other guy's lights out. As far as the grappling from Stewart goes, we haven't got to see a whole lot of that just yet. So the jury's still out as to what that will look like if the time comes that he needs to use it. But obviously going against a grappling heavy gym in Agogi combatives, one has to imagine it's going to be a factor here unless he can land just a really quick knockout. He may be able to show us some things that other tools in the bag, as it were, he's not just a one trick pony with the knockouts. He can grapple too. So, man, whoever wins this one, once again, will be proud to have them as our champion. They'll be a well deserving champion, and they can. They can carry that title with the knowledge that they earned that title against the best in their division and not against some schlub.
Yeah, and Andrew is one of those guys that getting to know him more. I think he has nothing to prove to anybody else. I think he's still proving a lot to himself, and because he did just kind of pop up on the scene. I mean, heck, the guy actually lives in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and
Oh wow!
he drives to Nashville every day to train. But he had a coaching staff that he had to, get to believe in him when he first got there. This was a fight you and I explored when Andrew was just sitting at 1-0. And he accepted, but that current coaching staff he had at that time, wouldn't let him take it. But he believed in himself enough then to accept it, through us. And he earned their trust. He got in there against Dillahunty at an underground show, and was impressive there. Dustin Ortiz came on board, got a new coaching staff, and he's got a staff that is behind him and recognizing what he brings to the table and what could be. But I think Andrew still feels he's got to prove to everybody, like, some of you say I'm cocky, but I believe I'm as good as I say I am, or I could be. And you mentioned kind of not wanting people to think he's a one trick pony. He preaches all the time. I've got some ground game, girl. I just haven't been able to show it, but he did because he was immediately in a tough spot when that Josh Booker fight started. Booker had his back, and if I remember, not just had his legs grapevined around him, may even had a body triangle at one point, shooting for that neck. And, he withstood it, was able in the closing seconds of that first round to turn it in transition and put himself in a good spot before the bell rang. So he has shown it.
Shown some submission. I'll say shown some good submission defense. Right.
Absolutely. But Zane too. Zane is a guy that, listen, you guys are previewing my fight and you say, I haven't really shown my striking. I don't rely on it, but that doesn't mean I don't have it. He's wanting to show people too, like, I'll knock a fool out too if I, if it comes to me. He's not one of those guys that's going to overcommit and go searching for it and put himself in a bad spot. He's definitely more technical with his striking and going to try that. Use his range, use his length. But he's wanting to show people I'm not just going to take somebody down and try to hold position either. Sometimes a fight goes that way, but that's not all I am either. So both guys are still looking to show the world that they're more than what you've seen so far. But the crazy thing is we've been impressed with what you've shown us so far, both of you. So if there's more to it, holy shit, how exciting for the fans in attendance and future shows that we'll have these guys on, or how awesome is that going to be for their pro careers. But this one is going to get rowdy. There is no doubt. Thank God the athletic commission is not going to be there this time. And this is an all amateur show because the Stewart crowd gets a little rowdy. And they I don't want to say they forget where they're at. They don't care where they're at. They don't care what city they're in or whose city they're in. They're going to have a good freaking time. But the Chattanooga, the Agoge contingency is going to be thick and it's going to be deep. And you are going to hear two sides of a convention center cheering loudly for their favorite fighter in that cage at the end of the night. I will say too, though, as much as this kind of rivalry and back and forth or cockiness, whatever you want to call it, um, I've talked to both these guys, and I talk to Andrew Stewart a lot because he lives here, and I visit that gym for dropping off tickets and posters and things like that. Um, that rivalry part ends after the fight. He is a good dude. Zane is a great dude. I've loved that guy since I met him. My son's coming, Tim, and he is torn as all get out.
You were telling me that.
Dude, he is torn to bits about this fight. Like Dad, I don't know if I'm watching it. I may sit out in the hallway because he doesn't know if he wants to watch it because he's
I've
like,
said that about a few fights coming
yeah,
up. Nothing
he's
on
like,
this one though.
Zane's my dude. He likes Andrew because Andrew, when he's met him, talks to him about football and things like that, and has really talked to him just kind of at a different level about things that he's interested in. So he definitely respected that, and he loves Zane to death. So I'm kind of the same way because they're both great guys. But again, for Aries Fight Series, what a position for us to be in.
Yeah.
Whether it's Andrew Stewart or whether it's Zane Burton, one of those guys is going to have our belt and continue to represent us. The guy who doesn't win is still, what a workhorse to have on your roster. And again, this may not be the last time you see this fight. This may not be the last time these two guys meet up. It might be as a professional later on. It might be again in a rematch. Who knows? But I think it's going to be that type of fight, and what a hell of a way to end the show.
I'll tell you this also. There'll be some eyes from Boston with some attention on this fight. I heard
Yeah,
Mr. Colin Robinson up in Boston. Shout out Colin if you're watching, by the way, out there.
yeah,
He's called out the winner already, man. So that's a guy that has always had a lot of success down this way. And obviously a lot of charisma, a lot of skill, talent.
yeah.
So you never know what could be coming down the pike.
And Zane probably knows Colin because Colin fought for us, but he's kind of been off the scene, staying up in his northeast region. Andrew, probably, I don't think knows who Colin is, but after this fight, if you come out victorious, Andrew, you might want to look him up because he has watched both of you guys and he has called down here and said, "I'm ready to come back to the volunteer state, guys. I like what you've got going in this weight division, and I think I can take that belt back home." So could be some interesting things on the horizon, Tim. But man, what a show! What a card! Holy shit! It the fight is on Saturday, but it's going down tomorrow because these guys
Yeah,
are going to stand in front of each other tomorrow night at Reagan's Retro Bar in downtown Chattanooga.
free. You can
And
come check it out.
yeah, absolutely free. And the place was great, man.
Mhm.
It gets crowded quick. It got crowded quick for the last show there. And I imagine it's going to do the same for this one. And it's what an atmosphere to start fight weekend off with. Like Reagan's Retro Bar. But tomorrow night will be the last night these guys talk to each other. It'll be the last night they look each other in the eye. until the cage door closes and the referee says, "Let's get it on."
Yeah, I couldn't be more excited, man. Long layoff. We're back for 3 straight weeks. This is week one of three. As far as what we've got coming up for you all, we've got obviously the show this weekend. We'll be back next week. We'll do a recap show of this one, and then we'll be right back into Nashville for the Underground card. It goes down next Friday night, August the 4th. That's the night before the UFC is in town. And a big main event for that one. We announced that already, Jeff, the main event for that one in
No,
the show. Okay, well,
no.
stay tuned to our social media. We got a big main event to drop. Two very highly touted prospects throw down in Smashville, and as such, we will do the preview show for that one next week with our guy Cody Saftik. We'll have our professional betting lines. Will be back for that one. Hopefully, we'll have those available for Tennesseans to bet on. We'll have more information on that as we go, though. But that's all next week. For now, check out this week, Saturday, Chattanooga, Tennessee. It's Aries 14, Chattanooga Convention Center, downtown Chattanooga, and the pay per view at Spectation Sports. Anything else, Jeff? Are you ready to get out of here?
I'm ready to go.
All right, man.
I got
Hey,
shit to do.
Hey, appreciate you guys for tuning in for another edition of the Zero Hour. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, and we'll catch you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in. Peace out. Bye.